Warrior Tough, Mental Training 101 with Andrew Wittman and Dutch Coleman. And now back to Andrew and Dutch.
All right, Get Warrior Tough, the most monumental hour in media anywhere with your leadership and mental toughness coaches, Andrew Wittman and the Dutch Coleman. You want to right? You want to join the conversation? Use the hashtag Get Warrior Tough. Dutch is at the Dutch Coleman. I'm at Warrior Tough PhD. All right, Dutch. Before the break, we were talking about how we're on information overload. I think we do kind of, society gives it a higher place value on this information because we're constantly feeding on it. And you and I have talked about this in our coaching calls, that if you feed on this stuff, it will really change your perception. And like you said, on overload, and it could really affect how you act and conduct yourself, how you think, your thoughts, your mood, your attitude, and then eventually your hormones will dump to match those attitudes, and now it's a downward spiral. And that's where stress and depression comes from when you see all this stuff.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's where we come in, where we give you the tools to be able to handle this stuff, because this is what's happening, but it doesn't have to happen to you.
Right.
You can individually change the way you receive it and the way you perceive it. So again, this is where we come in. If you don't want to be caught in that track, on that highway where all these different things are going on and you're getting run over by this stuff, it seems, each and every moment of the day, that's where we come in. That's where you bring us aboard and we help you deal with that stuff. We give you the tools to deal with that.
Right. And so here's the good news, right? That if there is a problem in your life, it's you, which is why you say that's good news, Andrew, because you're also the solution then. So, and that's what the elite warrior says, I'm the problem, I'm the solution. And we're not looking to anybody else to solve our problems or solve our issues. We're going to solve them, ourselves, because we're the solution to every problem that we have. That's the good news, because so now you're not looking to somebody else. And you know what? I'm also not taking on other people's problems, Dutch.
Absolutely.
I'm not taking on anybody's problems. And my kids, I'll say it around the house. I'll say NMP. They'll be like, "Yep, not my problem." NMP, right? And I'll tell you, I'm not taking on somebody's offense. I'm not taking on somebody's problem. I don't get down in that ditch. I'm not going to do it, because when you do, what happens is you get all wound around the axle over some offense that it wasn't even part of you. I mean, why did you're taking on somebody else's offense. You're taking on somebody else's problem. You're taking on somebody else's judgment and criticism, without thinking through things for yourself. So, yeah, that's good news, I think.
Yeah. And again, these are things that are not, how we talk about truth and fact. These are, you having to deal with these things are not facts. You don't have to deal with these things, or what we consider dealing with them is going to be, we're going to go to a higher level.
Right.
These things will bring you down. We're going to take you above these things. Not that you're better than these things, not you're better than the people that are dealing with these things. You're just more equipped. We're giving you the tools to be able to deal with these things. So you're going to still be amongst it, in the midst of it, all those different things, but you're going to look different from everybody else in how you handle it.
Absolutely. And you can have total calm and peace in the center of the storm. And we talk about this, right? You calm the storms of life from within. This is ground zero leadership, where I have complete control of myself. My mind is running my boardroom, not my emotions or my body. I'm a critical thinker, right? And then I can push my airspace out and allow that bubble of calm to, go everywhere in my environment. Every room that I walk in, now I'm going to bring that calm with me, and I'm going to bring that level of, like you said, equipment to solve problems instead of be ramped up and operate out of fear. And I'll tell you, if you feed on this stuff, and I was kind of, ramping, my part tonight was to kind of ramp up the emotion a little bit and get you fearful so you could see the, right? Because how easy it is to get ramped up with that stuff if you feed on it. And we say this in the coaching calls all the time. And when we first say it, it's not popular. When we first get a group in, I tell them, what are you listening to? Stop listening to talk radio. Stop watching the news. Stop reading the newspaper. Not to be not aware, but stop feeding on it, because what happens is you just hear that track over and over again, and the whole thing is ramped to get you stirred up.
And it's working.
It is working, man. It'll work in a heartbeat. It's very easy to get somebody stirred up, man. And that's, that is what con men do. It's what marketers do. That's how they sell products. Because what we do, this is how the psychology of the sale. We ramp up all the emotion and fear and make the problem really seem really, really big, and then we come and give you the solution, right? And I'll tell you, that's even what I'm doing to you right now. I ramped up the problem, and now I'm giving you the solution. We can fix it. I mean, because it works, and even when I tell you I'm doing it to you, it still works, because that's how the human machine is built. Like Dutch said, this has been going on since the beginning of time, because that's how the human machine is built, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no mystery here.
And you're not changing the human machine for everyone. We're trying to get you to change the human machine for you. Now, what you can do is you can push your airspace out on others, as we
Right.
like to say, so others can be influenced by you. So one or two things are going to happen: either you're going to show them, or they're going to learn and they're going to mimic your behavior, or you're going to send them to us. If they're not picking it up, you're going to send them
And
to
we'll help
Andrew
them.
and Dutch, and we'll help them.
It's exactly right. And that's what we call being a people whisperer. We help people get out of their own way. And that's what we teach. I mean, that's what our advanced group is learning right now. They're going through, they did the CEO of You. They spent 6 months doing that. Now we're rolling into people whisper, where we can help people get, and people won't even realize that we're getting them out of their own way for their own good. But that's why we do CEO of You first, because we only use our superpowers for good, right, Dutch?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it works, and you can manipulate people, and Dutch and I have used those words before. It's not negative, but we could persuade or manipulate people, move people for their own good. Most times, it's just sad, but most times people move and manipulate people for selfish reasons, and those people that they move and manipulate actually get hurt, and that's what con men do.
And the sad part is you're hurting yourself as well. A lot of people don't look at that, but relationships are ruined.
Yep.
Trust. And again, some of you out there believe what you put into the universe is going to come back to you anyway. So you're putting things like that out there as well. So you want to, again, as Andrew said, we always say, use your powers for good. And by the same token, that'll come back on you as well.
Absolutely. Because you do reap what you sow. The karma bus makes all of her stops, although she's late most of the time for my taste. But, people are like, man, I wish that bus would hurry up and get here, because that person, no, anyway, it's all good. I know, right? All right, so listen, so we're still looking at, I'm looking at this Olympic list I've got, and I've got this name, Katie Ledecky, up here, and she's 19. She was 15 last go-around. Very impressive, but the work ethic on this girl is just off the charts, Dutch.
Oh my goodness, and you gotta admire all these Olympic competitors.
Oh, all of them, I
mean, goodness gracious, you talking about work ethic. They don't see the fruits of their labor till years later, and again, they're not working in contracts. Like, again, I hate to pick on the major sports here in America, the NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, but they're in the midst of contracts, making tons of money. Even the minor league deals that some of these guys have, our Olympic athletes wish they had that. Yeah. Our Olympic athletes wish they had a minor league deal in the support system, providing all the training,
right?
That those guys get the equipment, all that stuff. No, they're not getting that stuff. You're talking about mental toughness. You're talking about stick-to-itiveness, as I like to say. They got it, man. And I pray for each and every one of those folks out there, giving it their all, as they continue to inspire us, man. And I wish they all could win gold. I wish every single one of them could win gold. I know that doesn't happen. But my hat's off to them.
Oh, absolutely. I just love it. It's just mental toughness. It's just like a mental toughness farm, man. It's like a ranch of mental toughness. So cool. So now listen, I didn't get to see this live because it happened yesterday while I was in meetings, but the women's gymnastics team, they got gold, right?
Yes, they got the team gold.
Yeah, and they did it in a big way. And this is what I love. And I love this. I don't love competition. I hate competition. I don't like to compete. I like to dominate. Right? You know me, right? I want to dominate. Like, what was my favorite game last year? Well, was the one where we were sitting in your basement, and it was
the Miami
Clemson game, man. I love 58 nothing. It was something like that, right? And then remember a couple weeks later, there was like Duke was playing them, and there was like, the call got reversed, and that's why I'm like, man, we could have gave up 5 of those touchdowns and still won. That's how domination is so much better than competing, and that's what we saw from the USA women's gymnastics yesterday.
Well, I tell you what, my team, when my team's involved, I would much rather prefer domination. So yes, I'm with you.
That's how I like to roll, man. I like the game to be over at the beginning. Like first quarter, I want to just have the other team so demoralized. Listen, I like to do this in business too, man. I don't want to compete. I'm not trying to catch. No, I want to dominate my airspace. And of course that starts with dominating myself. Dominating my body is the easiest thing to dominate. But the funny thing is, Dutch, most adults, after they learned how to get potty trained, they don't do anything to dominate their body. Their bodies dominate them.
Leave no doubt. Leave no doubts. I love it. And like you said, in business as well, leave no doubt that when you leave that place, that they know you were there, they're impressed, they can't wait to have you back.
Oh, wait, that sounds like our formula, Dutch.
There you go.
When you and I roll in, man, it's so funny. It really is, because we'll come rolling in, and then, people, they're not sure what to expect, but when we leave, it's all hugs and, can't wait to have you back, because we dominate. We put out a great product, and this is whatever your business is. Even if you're an employee, it doesn't matter if you're like you work in a stock room. Dominate that stock room, right? So that is like inventory is squared away, the place is spotless. You can put your hand on anything at any time. Like, dominate whatever your little piece of the pie is. Dominate that area. Dominate your airspace, and I guarantee you, promotion is coming. Success is coming. In this day and age, it just doesn't happen very often. People are too busy competing with each other. Don't get me started on like the high school drama crap, right? But they're competing with each other, backstabbing, whatever. Just go in and dominate your airspace. Just go in and dominate. Whatever your job is, dominate that. If you have sales quotas, knock it out of the park. Kill it. Like, dominate it. Like, you should be hitting your quota. If you have a quarterly quota, you should already have hit it by the end of the first month.
And this isn't impossible.
No.
A lot of people listening hadn't begun to consider those things. They hadn't begun to realize how living in that world is. Because we live in a world of just barely making it, just planning to hit the mark, hoping to hit the mark. That's the world we live in. That world is not fun. It's not challenging. It's scary. You're living in fear. And of course, what happens when you live in fear? You operate in fear.
Half your brain shuts off, and it's the creative problem-solving half that you need to get out of the problem, to fix the problem.
So we're trying to make you the aggressor. We're trying to make you the hunter instead of being the hunted. We're trying to get you out there controlling the action, you steering the vehicle. And it's a much better existence when you feel like the dominant species. And that's what we are in elite warrior culture. We're the hunters.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I mean, really, I want to be the predator, not the prey. It's just a much better, and I don't listen. And I'm not saying that we won't. If it comes down to the end of the sales quota, let's just say that I'm not going to quit and give up, even if it seems like it's impossible for me to make it at the end of the quarter. However, I'd like to win at the beginning of the quarter, and then I'm just killing it the rest of the time. I don't have that. I don't have anything hanging over my head. I get it all done.
Amen.
Yeah, so that's how we like to roll. So, and that's what we saw out of the women's gymnastics team. They just dominated. It was just amazing to see this. I love the swimming. I love to watch the track. I love to watch all of them because they're so graceful. And I'm going to use a science word here. They're proprioceptors, which is that's the nervous system of the positioning of their body. They know where it is, especially on like that balance beam. I'm like, they're doing stuff blind, so it's all by feel and it's all by proprioceptors. So this is why we have more than 5 senses, right? Yeah. That's like, it really is like a sixth sense, that proprioceptor, how the position of your body. And you know it more than I do, Dutch, because you played collegiate level ball. So,
well, I tell you what, that beam is intimidating. For someone as graceful as myself, I still look at that beam. I've been on that beam, and it's unbelievable what they're able to do on that beam. And I marvel at what those men and women can do on that beam. So again, kudos to those folks.
Absolutely, I'm just in amazement to watch what and I love watching. It's just cool to see what the human machine can actually do physically with some of that stuff. But and I was talking to. Oh, man, we're up on a break. I was talking to my PR people today, and I was saying, the real big deal is not the physical toughness. It's the emotional toughness, the mental toughness and dominating the emotions to get through the process and the grind day after day, even when you don't feel like it. And maybe we'll talk about that when we get back from the break. You're listening to the Get Warrior Tough radio show with Dutch and Andrew.